So my daughter has a friend, and we was wondering, where is he? We have not heard from him since the move or anything, and we thought for sure he'd be the first one to come over and greet us. Well, it turns out that there's way more going on with this whole thing that's happening than some of us may know. Now, this teenager has a story that made me so overwhelmed, I start reaching out to people to try to help, which was ridiculous. But that's my heart. Meanwhile, this youth, he's been through a rough year last year. Out of nowhere, he calls my daughter, and she's excited to hear from him. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And my daughter goes upstairs to be in her room, and she comes back down. And I'm like, so what was it? Why was he gone for so long? She said, oh my God, out of nowhere, he started bleeding from all parts of his body. Whatever body part had an opening, from his eyes, nose, ears, everywhere. And he was getting so pale and just pretty much on his way to death. And literally the first thing that popped in my head was, oh yeah, let's just call it 5G. But I was just like, in my head I was thinking, he needs to get away from all things that has anything to do with any kind of radiation or any kind of energies from technology, just to make it simple. That was my thought. So I started explaining, like, well, maybe he need to stay away from phones and TVs and stuff like that. And she said, yep, that's what they said. I was like, oh God, this is doing way more than we know. We haven't heard everyone's story. And I was so worried about him, like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. He was in the hospital for like 5 to 6 months. They had to keep an eye on him. I was just like, wow, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old going through that. It was hurtful. And I was just like, oh my God, what can I do? I want him to be okay. What am I going to do? I started getting into my medulla kind of energy. Shout out to my Gam Gam. That's her name. But, yeah, it did. It took a lot out of me right then and there, just knowing that there's stories out there like that, and there's way more. And I can't even have him talk about it, not online or anything, not over the phone or whatever. But he went through 6 months of hell where family didn't know if he was going to make it. And they had to put a lot towards having him survive, because they didn't have the money for it. And however they did it. And they got him better because he was seconds away from death. So I was happy to hear that. What I wasn't happy was the fact that, once he got the okay go, he wanted to go back to work, construction and everything. And I was just so overwhelmed. That's when I start reaching out to people, like, help. I'll put in whatever I need to put in, and everyone help. Of course, no one would reply or could help. And I understand they don't know who I'm talking about. Only I have that kind of compassion towards youth. I'm not going to say only I, but the people I reached out to don't have that same compassion as I do. And they don't know him, so it's all cool. Everything worked out at the end, and he's still fine. He's alive and doing great and doing real estate online. So I give thanks for that. And I'm hoping that anyone else that have any kind of stories like this would share. Please share with me and let me know any kind of story that may not be in the stream, the mainstream in TV and news or whatever, of things that may be affecting people due to this COVID. Because that right there just overwhelmed my soul. I do give thanks that he's fine right now. And also for another one of her friends, they were going through some tough times as well. So I did my fair due with giving them my tools and they report it back to me and they give thanks for that. So, I guess there's always a time to be happy for things, even though it's so rough right now on so many of us. So I love you all. I hope we can get through this. I know we can. I love you. Santa Rita Santo, over and out. Bye.